Good morning. I'm on my walk. I just woke up, well, an hour or two ago actually, but still feel a little bit dewy eyes or whatever that, sticky eyes or something like that. So I wanted to share something that I remember myself really feeling it's so unfair. And it's essentially around the whole expert sort of archetype and desire in all of us to find experts in something or to become experts in something, and hierarchy, and how neither is good or healthy. And it's certainly not the future human recipe, or rather, it's not the recipe for a healthy future human. So I was decades ago, I don't know, in my 30s, so a couple of decades ago, I was into media. I was in media. I was radio journalism, nothing big, but just like kind of small community type of radio stations and newspapers, and I loved it, absolutely loved that work. It was one of the most creative times in my life, like being a producer of, putting things together into a whole. Anyway, and I do tend to attract good luck and good fortune. So I had some BBC people, I live in UK, so BBC people approached me, not as in like, we'll offer you a job, but like, oh, you sound interesting, let's have a talk. And at the time I was chickened out, and well, that's this thing that, when I talked in my couple of videos ago about what's the meaning of success, and I dived into this whole experience and spent a lot of time in there for myself to understand why I essentially didn't take them up on that offer. And this is now going into a third point that I wasn't going to be making, but might as well, which was essentially for me, and it ties in with the money talk I had a couple of videos ago. It's like the moment you enter those big worlds of experts and these big names, hierarchy. In fact, I'm touching on the subject I want to talk about. You owned by them, but also you're restricted by them. You're kind of, stuck in the place. Don't get me wrong. It's just, there are perks, and I knew at the time quite a few people in BBC that worked there. Not like you're famous or anything, but just behind the scenes, kind of designers and that sort of thing. And it's a lovely lifestyle. I mean, the parties I went to were just fantastic, full of really interesting conversations and people who are sophisticated, which I'm a bit of a sucker for, as well as wild ones. Anyway, and so yeah, there are perks, and it's just amazing. And I would have been probably loving it, but I just had this sense that it's just too much of like being too available, because that would be my job description, to be, I don't know, every morning I have to be available for the public, and I just didn't want to do that. So I got interrupted twice, so can't remember where exactly I left off, but so basically, experts and hierarchy, and how neither is good for the future of the society. So experts breed hierarchy, because when we think there is an expert, we go to them, we word of mouth, and then you get this pyramid effect of like this one person at the top that's the alleged expert or just real expert, has like this huge following. Let's stick with the online metaphor. And yet I think also this just came to me now as I'm speaking, that a Pareto principle, 80-20. So I imagine that even out of people who have, let's say, 1 million followers, because they're expert in organizing or health or whatever, that 20% of those, is that right? How does that work? But meaning it's what gives them business is essentially the same 20%, more or less, I would imagine. I mean, I don't know. I don't know this for a fact. I haven't done any research as such. But I think that makes sense. I mean, I would believe that's the case. And someone, a wise soul, once said to me that, for a good business or healthy business to be thriving or just operating and being sustainable, for a business to be sustainable, all you need is like 100 loyal fans or people who really dig what you do, and they're happy to keep going on the journey with you of your business growing and evolving. And so imagine, and there's just 100 people. So what that means, let's imagine every one of us has a business, or rather we're all solopreneurs. The old world of corporations and just whatever other kind of small businesses and anything in between is gone, and we're all solopreneurs. The fairer distribution of wealth and income and also obviously customer base and everything would be to kind of flatten it, so we don't have hierarchy, because no one's an expert in more than another person. It's just one person's view and experience of particular theme or particular themes that their business revolves around. And so we kind of get drawn to those people because the products or the services they provide resonate with us more than with someone else. And it could be by a fraction, and it could be for a period of time in your life. And I certainly know that I have moved from one to another throughout my life, always never stuck with one person for too long, in terms of whether it's a therapist or coach or any other kind of service provider. And so if we flatten, if there is no hierarchy, and the hierarchy happens because, did I say this? Because I've tried this a few times to record. Because if we're an expert, and we really drum this or advocate and promote this message that we are an expert in something, we attract more people. But like I say, it's only 20% probably of those millions or million or whatever that is using our services. So if we, I don't know how that would work, like as in how that would happen, but I think one good example would be if those businesses become more prominent. So that would be that's definitely my plan or vision, or rather idea, dream, if you like. Or I'd love to be one of those businesses who is actually thriving and being sustainable with only handful of followers or handful of customers, essentially, not necessarily followers but customers, which is kind of often more or less the same thing. Well, maybe not, but anyway. Yeah, in fact, probably not. But and so for as a business, for my kind of my goal, not to be to get so many followers, but to get quality customers. By quality, I mean the kind that really get and really benefit from my services, that really find gold and value my services. So if there are so many of us, growing, as in there are so many examples of these kind of businesses, then online solopreneurs, then yeah, maybe that's how it's done. You kind of just like mushrooms, you just start sprouting, and do mushrooms like spread fast? I'm not sure, but yeah, that a metaphor for this to become a model in the future for everyone, and then everything, wealth, and because wealth essentially is how many customers you have. So if someone has 1 million customers and others have 5 or whatever, then obviously the 1 million customers business will be million whatever dollars business, or pounds, whatever, and then and then the 5 customer business will be £5 business. And that's the competition piece, that it's so old paradigm. It's like, instead of being, it's like, I think customers are also competing in the sense that, like, I paid more for this because it's assumed there is more value in if you pay more for something, if it's more expensive. So there's that kind of like, look, I can afford, I don't know, Prada, and similarly looking, possibly an incredibly cheaper piece of clothing will be from Primark as well, which is, I don't know, £5 as opposed to 500 or 5,000, whatever. Anyway, I think I made my point, and for today, I'll be back tomorrow.